All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We're going to start by reciting the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as the minutes, if you haven't looked at them yet. Yep.
There's nothing that side.
Okay.
Just
All right. So we're going to start with reviewing the account payable register. So for the week ending January 31st of 2026, we have payroll in the amount of $46,553, payroll taxes in the amount of $11,627. We have a check to detail? Yep. Check to police detail in the amount of $4,388.
Oh, no.
Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to the new format on the register. So there was nothing for police detail, and into ambulance was $1,213. There was overtime from the police of 3.5 hours, fire of 38 hours, highway 37.5, and on-call for the police at 42 hours. There was accounts payable in the amount of $11,898 plus $4,940. No payments to Swayze Co-op or the retirement system. There is a treasurer's report as well. Yes, it is. Treasurer's report from January. Yep, thank you. January 27th had a total general fund balance of $7,478,824. There was, and that included invested funds and the general fund ending balance. The invested funds are in short-term CDs in order to obtain interest on those monies and accounting for when they may be coming due. For February 3rd, the total general fund balance was $7,634,451, with invested funds at, it was invested funds at $3 million because one of the CDs had matured. So there's a general fund ending balance of $4,634,451 for that total of $7.634 million. Okay, so we have that along with no recreation manifest, right? Okay, no building permits. So we just have the treasurer's report and the public minutes as part of consent agenda. So having read through all that, I will accept the motion.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So moving along, first discussion action item tonight is to develop a process for planning board legal expenses. Mr. Kennedy is here to address that. I was also at the last planning board meeting, and I'll just set the stage for it, Mark, but at the last planning board meeting, there were questions in terms of use of legal because the planning board wanted to consult with legal counsel, and the question was raised, well, how do they do that? Because in the past, they had a line for their budget, but now they don't have a line in their budget because it just comes out of the general line. I know that Mr. Kennedy had indicated at the meeting that there were assurances that whatever the planning board would would seek would always get taken care of out of the general town line for legal, but there was, some concern raised again about how that would happen. My thought and suggestion would be that if it comes to an hour's worth of legal or consultation, which would seem to be a reasonable amount, that the planning board ought to be given, basic authority to proceed with that consultation. But if we're talking about something that is more significant, for example, in excess of an hour, then my suggestion would be that the planning board come to Julie and get the select board's consent on that kind of expense. I mean, obviously, if there's some sort of litigation as a result of a planning board issue, I mean, that obviously would always be, covered as an expense. I think the concern was if it was more than just the run-of-the-mill consultation and it required some significant research by town council, and then we were talking maybe something, of the magnitude of more than an hour or several hours or up to 10 hours. So that's why I was making the suggestion that I did. So
what are you guys paying for a consultation? I know I pay probably a little bit more being on insurance, so mine is about $930 an hour. So what are you guys thinking for an hour? What's your going rate?
yeah, I don't know what we're paying the town council for her hourly rate, but I would imagine it's somewhere in or around 300, but I haven't looked
Okay,
at that, to
so
be honest.
why don't we make a motion for $1,000? They can spend up to $1,000.
Is that historically how it's been handled? I think historically they just contacted town council as needed. I guess I'm confused as to why they are now needing to come through the select board.
I think we all know that the planning board and the zoning board of adjustment can be very legally heavy at times, and counsel needs to be sought from time to time.
Mark Kennedy, land use administrator.
Mark Kennedy, land use administrator, Town of Brentwood. That line was in our budget, and I think next year we're going to seek that line to be put back in the planning board budget. The planning board is an autonomous board. It is a board of individuals who are voted on by the townspeople of Brentwood. And it operated pretty well with that line in our budget until this particular moment. And I think, in my personal opinion, I think it was a mistake to remove that line from the budget.
Can I just really quickly, when you say that it worked well, so like I know that this past year, there was a lot of back and forth and talk with legal about a possible drainage issue on a road, right?
Yes.
That didn't show up in that line in your budget because it wasn't applied to your budget specifically. It just it hit our legal budget like everything else. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is why do we feel the need to pull that back out and separate it again?
Well, I guess I'd have to ask myself the question of why do you want us to ask permission to get legal counsel?
I don't.
But I think that's why if we say, like, what
I
Paul's
think it's-
recommending, and if you say it's up to $1,000, if it goes over that, then let us know. But
Yeah, and I think, again, Mark, that was, the chair's request, so I wanted to bring that forward because it was no longer in the planning board budget. And then Glenn Greenwood had said that the way it works in Kingston is just as I was describing it. In fact, in Kingston, there may not even be a threshold amount. I think every request will go to the select board ultimately, and what Mr. Greenwood said was that there's never been an issue, that it just is almost like pro forma, if you will. Am I characterizing that conversation
Well, I mean,
correct?
yes, yes, you are. And I mean, I've had to reach out to counsel on a few occasions and didn't consult anybody.
Right.
I mean, these were quick conversations, and I could definitely tell you what they were, and they were definitely warranted for the protection of the town of Brentwood.
So that's why I think, $1,000 would probably be, I don't know the rate, but we're talking at least 3 hours then of a consult, and I'm fine with that as well. I know Ed suggested even a smaller, amount, but I'm fine with up to 3 hours, and if it was gonna be more than that, because it was going to be a significant project, I think then it would just be a matter of getting consent. And I suppose if there's momentum to, then take it out of the town budget next year and put it back into planning board budget, I mean, that could certainly be a discussion as well.
Yeah, I'm at your behest, and the planning board is at your behest. We have no other recourse. It's
Yeah.
just how do you parse that out with Laura?
So
I mean,
when,
you could have that
so
conversation
we
right
get
up,
bills.
right up
from-
off the
yeah.
gate, is to say, Laura, I only can have you dedicate an hour of your time to this particular question. I guess that's the only
Well,
way
and you
out.
guys
Well, usually,
bill
like
in
with any
15
time,
minutes, don't you?
Council is retained, you sort of get an estimate and a legal, budget, unless it's just sort of a quick, consultation. So that's why we're trying to set like a high enough limit so that there's a level of comfort. And I think $1,000, which should be at least, again, without knowing the exact rate, but I'm thinking that should be at least 3 hours of consult. That ought to be sufficient as a threshold, I'm thinking.
Is that cumulative or per incident, per instance?
Per consult.
Yeah. Because sometimes you're gonna have a conversation that's gonna run an hour or so, and then they have to go do their due diligence on that matter and then call you back and have a discussion. So I think if it were me and, I think $1,000 should be reasonable to say if we have an issue that comes up. It's not like you guys are having issues come up every 5 minutes. So what's the largest legal bill, I guess, you had over the period of the last 4 years?
They don't get, so this is what I was saying, they don't get the legal bills.
What's our biggest legal line? What's the biggest we spent on legal over the last couple of years?
I think last year we spent like $50,000 or $60,000 total for the whole town.
Yeah, and there's probably, I would say probably of that, minimally, you guys probably had max 10%,
It,
right?
it
Yeah, we'd have to
really all
sort that
depends
out,
on,
Bob, to know.
on the
So,
suits that come into us. It's not us creating the greatest
Right.
expense. Most of my conversations with Laura are a quick email. She'll give me a response, and then I might double down with a few more questions depending on her email.
and I think that's all reasonable, and it
It's
should be
reasonable.
within within the threshold.
Mhm.
And it just, it'll stop you from having to come and get permission to go ahead and do that.
No, 100%.
So I think $1,000 is reasonable. We have a budget set up for legal, just like we have a budget set up for health insurance. So instead of parsing it out, I would be fine with leaving it with legal, but letting you know that it's okay to go ahead and give them a call and have a discussion or a consultation without having to wait for the board to basically approve that.
Correct. No, I think you're being wise and just in that decision. None of my conversations with legal, I always go to Glenn first. I always seek out information in other areas, and then I go to her if there's deferring opinions on things. So it's not like we're running to her every,
And sometimes the planning board has, questions and want
Yes.
to refer something to legal.
they have a very good question that should go to legal. And we wanted to work out, they wanted to work out how the billing would be handled first.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. So I'll make a motion for the $1,000.
Second.
Did you have a question about that, Jim?
No, I was just gonna make a comment that this is no reflection on you, Mark, whatsoever. I think that you've been doing a great job and, so, yeah, so I second that.
Okay. Any further?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how he would know how many dollars he's used up.
Well, that would be, I think,
Well, it would be the rate, and we'll figure out what the rate is.
I guess that's what I'm saying. If we could come up with a system whereby
We just did.
Yeah,
he
so-
gets let known what, like,
he's gonna get a budget. He should be asking
Oh,
for a
we'll know
budget.
we'll know
No.
what the rate is from a prior bill. So if
Yeah.
the rate, for example, is $300, and, any consult of, 3 hours or less would be, fine, and you have authority to do.
And I think it's gonna probably, the invoice will probably come in with, had a conversation with
Yeah,
Mark.
yes, I'm asking that part of the invoice where it says, these are the things that we spent on planning goes to Mark so he's aware.
Okay.
That's,
I think
that's
Julie
not
can
how
do-
it currently works.
You,
I just
is that
wanted to
something, do you think could get done? I think that's pretty easy, right? Yeah, okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank
Anybody
you, Mark.
opposed?
Thank you so much for your time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next on the agenda tonight is, did you want to talk about this first? Abatement, okay, you have an abatement for us, Julie.
Our assessor left me with one abatement. It's for a property that they actually paid the first payment, but in the conversion of the software, it disappeared. So it shows as being due. So this is just for paperwork reasons. There's no actual refund or credit, but it's to clear up the $2,523.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, sounds like just a Scrivener's error in essence. All in favor?
Aye.
So that needs to be.
Coffee's delicious in this mug.
Although, Scrivener was really, someone actually writing back in the day, and this sounds like more of a 2025 type Scrivener's error because of the change in platform.
It's data entry.
Yeah.
Did you want to do that permit next?
Oh,
Blue
yes.
folder?
Yes, we do. Thank you. So this is a recurring annual permit that is being sought by Bob's Heavy Equipment, LLC, seeking to renew the license to operate and maintain a motor vehicle junkyard for the period of April 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2028. Corresponding with that is also a water permit that's being sought with a letter indicating no water has been hauled from the property at 0 Pine Road during the period of March 7th, 2024 through February 2nd of 2026. Application for automotive recycling dealer registration, which is basically the license to operate the facility.
Motion for the chair to sign?
Second.
And my understanding is, the status remains the same. There's no compliance issues or anything along those lines. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Sign. Okay, next on the agenda, Julie prepared the town report on behalf of the Select Board. I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to review and read it.
Sorry, the letter or the whole? Just the letter,
The
right?
letter.
Okay. I have not.
Julie did bring it to me. I had made some edits, but tried to maintain the gist of what Julie had written. So that's what we have before us, and this is what will go in the town report, unless someone has a particular objection.
Did you email this afternoon? Because
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yep,
I-
Take your time.
I had some questions. I'll give Andy a minute to read it.
Can I ask you a question while I read?
Oh, we did not retain Greg due to concerns and questions about financial activities. So I would eliminate that. I guess I don't understand the point of most of that paragraph.
Well, I think there's been a lot of concern, at least brought to my attention, about the happenings, the goings-on in 2024 of the prior town administrator. So I think this was just to clarify that anyone who's had eyes on 2024 at this point has not had any concern, there hasn't been any concern or any evidence of any.
So just putting the town at ease that we've done our due diligence and nothing's been,
I guess just because we haven't received the final report from the auditors yet, I would be hesitant to so confidently say that everything's all set for 24. I'm not saying that there's malfeasance. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that.
I have asked them if there's been any evidence, and they have said that there has not been, and I asked Greg the same question when he was working on it, and he had no evidence of that. And it does say to date.
for those of you at home, we're just reviewing the letter that Julie and Paul
I guess I could
drafted
I could
for
read it
the
out loud.
town meeting, town report. So bear with us for a minute.
I mean, my thinking is it's kind of general, you know, it basically, you know, indicates concerns and questions about financial activities. I think we had questions, also had concerns, and that's why we ended up retaining the CPA.
That's
So-
not why we retain the CPA, though.
We retained the CPA to post the funds, not because we had questions or concerns about how the finances were handled.
Well, I mean, you know, I guess it's just a matter of wording.
Well, there's a huge difference in wording between we hired somebody to make journal entries and we hired somebody to investigate whether there was theft going on.
You want to just say the select board retained an independent CPA who reconciled the town general fund through the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, you can just wipe out that
Yeah.
first.
That works for me.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's reasonable. Any other concerns?
No, everything else looked excellent.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Can you come up to the?
come on up, Peter. Just say your,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
please, say your name and.
Just push the red button. Push the little button. There you go. Now you're live.
Restate your name, please.
Peter Foster, 79 Prescott Road. Is this letter going to cover us to include, up to and include the town meeting? Before we get an account, or we get a true accounting of what the auditors have?
So this is the report, Peter, for town.
Not really, it's a letter. It's not like a report or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but
That
we're going to
goes-
have the account, I guess
This
what I'm
goes into
asking
the-
is, are we going to have, and I understand the letter's not official for.
This
that
is what
it's-
will go in the town report.
Right, my question is that are we going to have a report from the accounting audit and the accountants before we
Go to
have town meeting?
Probably not.
And probably not. So that in a sense, this is an introduction or a slight covering of what the auditors or the accountants would bring.
It's
And
it's a recitation of what, you know, we did in the time frame. It does indicate.
Well, my feeling
Town's
is,
auditing firm, Plodzik and Sanderson is in the process of completing their report, which will be shared as soon as it becomes available.
Which they're estimating to be by the end of May.
I think people are going to be quite concerned about that. I am.
Can I just follow up on that?
Yeah.
So this is a report of the Board of Selectmen. Basically, it's what this board has done over the past year. It has nothing to do with finances. Julie just put that in there about the. It still does. This is just to delegate what we did over the year. My restructuring of the paragraph was, I didn't believe we hired a CPA in order to investigate financial fraud. We hired a CPA to post ledger accounts. So the
And
accurate
reconcile.
recording of what we did as a board is what I asked to be corrected. No, I was just trying to explain what this was. It wasn't.
We can't have a conversation without you being at the mic,
Yeah,
Peter.
why don't you come on back,
Really.
Peter?
I don't want to carry it. We don't need to get into the weeds on this. If I understand it correctly, we're not going to have the accountant and the auditor's report by,
Yeah,
town
and that's,
meeting.
and that's expressed in that letter. That's correct. But what it does say, and what it will say, is that the select board retained an independent CPA who reconciled the town's general fund through the beginning of 2025.
I hear you. I do hear you. That's clear. I'm just saying it doesn't cover everything. People are going to have some questions about, well, why don't we have this? We've had it before. If this is traditional, if this is the way things operate, then why don't we have this for town meeting?
Because they didn't get started until October. And that's because the CPA was working on reconciling 2024. And he didn't finish up till right before they started.
And there was, 2024 was not,
We talk a lot about not rehashing history. I think
yeah. All I'm saying is that it was not a typical year. So therefore,
Yeah. This letter isn't really to express judgment, Peter.
Yeah.
It's really more just to indicate what we did as,
Very
from a
good.
factual standpoint.
Okay.
So I think that makes sense.
yeah.
So with that change, I think, are we good? I don't know if we need to vote on this.
Bob, you okay with it?
We usually do.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Second.
So with the one change of that, deleting that phrase that, Andy suggested, which was good.
And Letty.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm a no.
All right. Julie, we have signed documents for bank accounts.
I had some concerns that we only had one authorized signer on all of our bank accounts, and that being the treasurer. And if he were unavailable, there would be nobody to sign. The bank does not recommend that it be the town administrator. They recommended the select board chair. So I'm looking for approval to have for the next
Didn't we?
5 weeks or so.
Didn't we sign one of these recently for Daphne?
No, that was a deposit
Okay. It
authorization.
was a different bank.
Yep.
Paper.
I don't know, jeez.
So this is paperwork that would allow Paul until the end of his chair term to be an approved signer on the TD accounts.
Moved.
And then it would change, obviously, with the next board, so there would need to be new signatures.
That is how it was before. I know Jen was the signer when she was the chair.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If we had any motion on interest of a vice treasurer?
Deputy.
Deputy treasurer?
I had one early on that I kind of weeded out, but that's the only one I ever got.
I have 3 signatures here, by the way, on the consent agenda.
Oh, let me do it. I'll sign it 3 times.
Is there- I don't know who else needs to sign.
Can we just loop back on Peter's concern? Is there a way that where Plaza and Sanderson's thing usually goes, we can maybe put something that says,
I reached out to them and I have a letter that is gonna be put in there. I can read it to you if you want. It doesn't say too much.
yeah,
This just says, this is to advise you that as of January 22nd, 2026, the audit of the financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2024 has been substantially completed, and we are in the process of finalizing the audit. A completed audit report should be sent to you by the end of May 2026. And then it goes on to say that they will do the audit for 2025 as well.
Do we expect the audit for 2025 to start sooner and be
Yeah.
easier, hopefully?
Mhm.
Do you have a sense of when that might start?
It doesn't say here. Well, I'm sure after they finish the one in May, so
Are they
May or
unable
June.
to start 25 until 24 is done?
I would
I would
imagine.
hope so.
Why?
because they need to make sure that the numbers are accurate before they start.
The
I mean,
next-
well, yes and no. I mean,
Let them get 24 done, and then they can focus on 25. I don't like to start painting 2 rooms at the same time. I try to do one room and then paint the other room after I'm done with that room.
is there anything
Especially when
that we
they're
can,
different
is there anything that we can do to help facilitate getting 24 done sooner? I don't want to be in this cycle of always, always, always being behind.
I
No,
think
I
the
don't
audit
think that-
process will go a lot smoother this year because all of the documents will be all ready and waiting for them, and it won't be this running around like it's being done this year. That's how it was in the past. They send us a letter, I have it already, of all the documents needed for 2025's audit, and we will
Okay.
have those ready and waiting.
I know that you just didn't start until October of 25, so anything that happened up until then.
Will be corrected and ready for them.
Okay. And then do you have a sense of when you're going to close 2025? Because I know that,
They don't actually, the auditors are the ones who close it.
right.
So-
So last time I had asked questions about 24, and I think correctly you had said we shouldn't touch any of those things while the audit is underway. If I have questions about 2025, what is the appropriate time to ask them?
After I'm done going over everything for 2025.
Okay. Like, you'll let us know, like, will we
Sure.
get some sort of final something, or you'll let us know?
So when this is all over in May, they'll probably start, we hope by June, we'll start the process of looking for what you need for 25.
But I guess,
Hopefully we'll have that done before we're sitting here next year trying to
Absolutely.
close out to go into 27.
I think that was, we're talking about a year that was an aberration, if you will. Yeah.
You had a lot of speed bumps.
I think what Letty's looking for is just a updated 25 budget of what was expended for each line,
Mhm.
correct?
yes. That is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and those should be, other than maybe the last little bit where we switched over to the new system. Up until that point, everything should be fine other than the revolving account transactions back and forth.
Okay, so I guess if you could just send me whatever that is, and I could look at it, and if I have questions.
Whatever
give
what is
The final report, the final numbers.
for expenses for 2025?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because clearly, this board feels like it's too late to ask about 2024. I want to make sure I don't miss the window to ask about 2025 expenses. I've been asking for the past 12 months or so I want to make sure I don't miss that window.
We should be able to get us, I think you
Yeah.
print those out,
It's
right?
just the last few weeks where we swapped over to the new system.
So there should be a reconciliation report somewhere that you can just spit out where everything's falling at this point.
For expenses?
Yeah, I would assume. Hopefully. Somewhere.
Okay. Julie's letter.
The Plodzik letter?
I think, yes,
Yeah.
I think that's very helpful. And,
Good.
in my mind, it's helpful. I'm just curious if there was one statement that you had said earlier that they had found nothing irreconcilable. I think that if you could somehow squeeze that into that letter.
Well, this is from them, so I can't,
Okay, at any rate, it's a very helpful.
good. Excellent.
Thank you. All right. I think we have a couple of petitions that came in.
We received two petition warrant articles. One is for SB 2. I can read if you want, but it's just
Sure.
the usual. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 40:13, known as SB 2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the town on the second Tuesday of March? Majority vote required. That's that one. That doesn't.
Anyone want to inspect the petition?
Daphne has reviewed it to make sure that all of the signers were registered voters, and there were a couple that were not, but there's still the correct, the needed quantity of residents who signed.
When do we need to hold the hearing by?
Yes, I have that date here, the 23rd.
Are you questioning the majority?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not sounding right to me either.
Sorry,
They
what-
may have changed the law, but
Sorry, what was, I missed the.
Is it 3/5?
majority vote required. I thought it was a super majority.
3/5.
And it's at town meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was a thing one year where we put it on the ballot and they had changed.
And I think that has to be, isn't that done secret ballot, or isn't that how they did it before? Yeah, 40:13.
Does it say in the petition itself majority?
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
I assume that's based on the RSA though, so.
What's the?
I think Andy.
4013. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I'll work on it while you're working.
Yes, so the public hearing must be held by the 23rd of February. So I think Paul and I talked about possibly the 17th.
Is there any chance that it would continue to the next, like, there's no chance we would have to continue it or anything, right?
I think we can hold it during a select board meeting.
No, I know we can't, I just wanted to make sure we didn't, like, if for some reason,
No, I don't know why it would need to be continued.
actually, I think it kind of has to be the 17th, because don't we have to post it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that will also be the same night that the Dam Ventures folks have asked to come in.
Damn. Yeah, this is saying 3/5.
Hmm?
This is saying 3/5. Majority vote required.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It says, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 40:13, known as SB2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the town on the second Tuesday of March, 3/5 majority
sense.
vote required.
Because I think it made the majority last time, but not the 3/5.
Correct.
But it has the 3/5
In it.
language.
I
so-
was looking
okay.
at it as March 5th.
Oh.
Yeah, 3/5
I was like, 'cause
majority
that
vote
is-
required.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they should have put TH after the 5. I'm just
Yep.
reading it literally.
And then,
They had 29 people sign it, but 2 were not registered, so that makes it 27. They need 25, so it's compliant.
I know that the select board has to hold the hearing, but do we have to provide content for the hearing, or do we just have to have a hearing?
I would assume the petitioners would do the content.
I know last time the select board did the content, even though it was not a select board.
No, I would invite the,
Yeah, I think the last time the select board did put the warrant article forward.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would say they should be invited to
Provide content?
provide content on it. They're asking for it, so. let
We'll
them
provide the
content.
hearing, but we don't have to do anything other than sit here.
We have the hearing, and yeah, because on citizens petitions, we don't really have to opine on them at all.
Correct. Except when it comes to a matter of appropriation, which I believe is the next and final one that was presented.
Right, the second one is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $225,703 to establish a 24-hour per diem firefighter EMT position at the fire department effective April 1st, 2026. This position will provide recommended staffing for a 3-person engine company in accordance with the NFPA 710 and OSHA. This position will support improved emergency response capability and public safety for the town of Brentwood. And again, that has more than the required number of signers and has been reviewed by the town clerk.
Does anyone wish to review the petition?
I
So,
assume Daphne did the same thing. She checked to make sure the signatures were good and
Yes.
And we have enough signatures?
Yes, plenty.
I did.
so the board will, on that, at least according to NHMA, needs to make a recommendation either for or against.
And I think we already voted on this, though.
Well, we didn't make a recommendation for or against because we never got to that point, Bob.
Okay.
So now we're at that point with the petition before us. So I would, where Andy did present the petition, I'd invite you to speak if you like.
Speak on the merits of it, or just make a motion to either approve or?
Whatever you like. I mean, I think we have to vote either recommending for or recommending against, like we did last time with regard to warrants. So I don't know if you wanted
So
to speak to it.
The reason behind my submitting a petition warrant article is I strongly believe that the town needed to discuss and vote on this. So that's why I went forward with a petition.
Okay.
So,
seems pretty straightforward.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, did you want to speak in terms of whether you recommend for or recommend against?
That's
I
a
was just
separate-
giving you
That's a
that
separate question.
I'm going to recommend for since I took the time to put it forward, but
Okay. Well, no, I wanted to give you the opportunity to, if you had any, argument that you wanted to make, since we're going
that's
to be
the
voting.
chief's
on it.
argument to make, and he made it when he was here, and
Okay.
So we should do a roll call vote like you did before, since it's gonna have to probably be on there for warrants.
I want to open it up if people have any comment that they want to make about it, either for or against.
I'm not for it. I think the budget had an increase. There was an increase last year. I know they did a fire recently in Epping. We have a lot more services going out than we have coming in. So I'm just not for this type of an impact, financial impact on our resources that's point in the budget. So I would be against this.
When you say that we had a lot more going out than coming in, do you specifically mean mutual aid or do you mean in general?
In general, we service more communities outside of our own community than inside the community.
No.
Yes,
I don't-
our fire department goes out more than they come in.
Only for mutual aid.
Correct, but they're still getting called for service outside of our community.
but they don't service more towns than they service the citizens. We provide more mutual aid than we get because we're kind of the monkey in the middle. So we go to Kingston, we go to Epping, we go to Fremont.
They all come to us.
And then depending on the side of town is who comes to us.
Right, but the amount of calls that they respond to, it's significantly going to calls outside of our community than calls inside of our community.
Not correct.
I want the numbers, and I asked him for that, and he
I
gave
have
that
the
to
numbers
us.
right in front of
Great,
me.
what are they?
I can forward them to you if you want. If you're
Just tell them
talking,
to me.
I want to make sure that I'm answering you accurately, which is why I'm asking if you're asking about mutual aid.
How many calls do we have in town?
Total for
Total calls
2025,
in town, 2025.
1,072.
In town.
Yes.
That's including ambulance, right?
Yes.
Great. And how many calls outside of town, including ambulance?
So this is, I want to make sure, so mutual aid calls total is 292 on top of that. 215 of those are us going to mutual aid calls. 77 of them are mutual aid coming to us.
Great. Now I want you to remove the ambulance from the 1,072 because that we have a revolving account for. And so now what you're giving me is the mutual aid is 292 and 215. I want to know
Mutual
what
aid
we
does-
had.
So I don't know in mutual aid what the split is, so I can't answer that.
And what does the revolving account have to do with anything? We pay payroll out of the general.
We
fund.
pay payroll out of that, but it's also a revenue generator with billing out of the ambulance. So if you have 1,072, I know those numbers seem skewed. They don't seem right to me.
There,
I mean, instead of,
it's
Gabby
from-
brought it up at the budget committee too.
This
the number
came from the
seems
budget
wrong.
committee. This,
Yeah.
this came from the budget committee. This is why I want to be clear.
How many calls did we ask for mutual aid to come into town? How's that?
77.
77. And we did 292 out.
No, 215 times they asked for our help.
What was the 292?
The total of those two things, which is the total number of mutual aid calls that we were involved in.
So 77 for us, 215
We
for
asked
out.
for help.
all right,
77
rather than
times.
arguing
Yeah.
about the data, maybe we can just have discussion about, why you might be against or why you might be.
So he was saying
for.
that he was against because he needed more data. I would like to provide him with more data.
And I'm getting the data and I'm saying if we had 77 calls in and 215 going out, that to me, we got more going out than coming in.
But
And so-
that's only the mutual aid calls. That does not count the calls that stay in here and were answered by us here.
Right, and if you have 1,072, and if we're looking at mutual aid, that means that they had something that they had to get called for, but they're logging calls for, going to the nursing home and all that other stuff with the ambulance, that's all commingled in there. I'd want to know what the breakdown is per, and I don't think you're in a position to give that to me. And if you are, then great, give it to me.
I feel like I have not, I'm trying to answer the questions based on the thing that I got from the budget committee. If you can articulate, I can try to answer based on this chart that I'm looking at. I'm happy to.
Right, my issue is if I look at 77 and 215,
Yes.
that tells me an apples for apples of what we had going out and what we had coming in on those specific calls. So now I can narrow it down to those calls.
Okay.
And I look at it and I say
Well,
those numbers are off.
But that's such a small fraction of
I
the
have to
total.
look at it somewhere where they're doing their calculation, because I think we have a lot of staff that we've added over there. We increased by adding one to the one position. I think adding this extra $300,000 to put extra staff in there, I do not support.
225. And I guess if I could weigh in, I don't know if anyone else wants to, but if I could weigh in, my disappointment was, after the last vote, that this didn't come back with at least some sort of compromise. For example, looking at something from, 8A to 8P, which would be, half of that cost. And to me, when we're looking at a significant cost like this, 225,000, which will be a recurring cost yearly and probably increasing, that gives me, cause for concern. When you look at the cost versus benefit, I mean, we could all say intuitively that, okay, an extra shift can help public safety, but that's really in the abstract. And my concern at this point is that we really don't have data or presentation of any real evidence of what the marginal increase in public safety will be versus relying on mutual aid. Will this save one home from destruction? Will it decrease the percentage of harm or injury? I mean, we really don't know any of that, and these are unanswered questions. So I feel like, these are things that were just not well presented and put forward in terms of how the chief has presented this. And I understand you can always say intuitively, let's hire another shift for $225,000, and that's going to help. But again, without the data, it becomes problematic for me. So I would vote against or recommend against because of that.
Two things to that. One, the chief did give a very specific example of a house that was still standing and the people were able to retrieve their belongings from it because they had 3 people and could roll a truck immediately. He gave a very specific example
Yeah, but
of that happening.
Again, that was anecdotal, but go
It was
ahead.
not, he literally said, because there were people in the station, they could roll the truck. So that's one. Two, if there was appetite from you or anyone else on this board to approve a 12-hour coverage as opposed to a 24-hour coverage, you could have changed that number and this board could have recommended it. 3, why didn't you ask the chief to come explain any of that to you if that was a concern that you had?
The chief can come and explain all of it like he did. I heard what the chief had to say, and I'm giving you my argument, and I'm giving you my opinion. I mean, I don't think, one anecdotal example is proof to me of what the statistical data is as to how this would marginally improve public safety versus what the present situation is with mutual aid. And we're talking about a significant increase that ends up being another 25+% on top of the 25% increase that already happened. Look, I'm dealing with what's before me, which is a $225,000 increase in request. If someone wanted to put forward something different, they could have.
I'm saying literally you could have.
So,
like-
Letty, let me just remind you, I don't understand why you're getting upset with Paul, because he has an opinion. You have an opinion, I have an opinion, everybody has an opinion, but
first of all,
hang
I'm
on,
not
let me
upset.
talk, please. It's ridiculous that you're yelling into the microphone and trying to belittle Paul for his thoughts, okay? You're entitled to your opinion, he's entitled to his. Why are you acting like this?
And I'm just going to bring up one thing too, because now I'm looking at numbers. So it's dangerous when I get to look at
No,
numbers, right? So I'm going to look at the numbers and I'm going to give you some analysis real fast, down and dirty. I got 184 were canceled, 12 good intent, false alarms 84. So there's
So back
no
up to that.
emergency. They took 280 off. So I had 1,072 calls, but 280 off brings me to 792.
They didn't know that they were going to get canceled when they got called
I
out.
still got to 792. But hell, you want me to take 1,072?
No, I'm
Let's
just-
do the math. 1,072 divide by 365 days. That's 2.93. Let's just go to 3. That's 3 calls a day.
Mr. Chair, I
So
don't mean to stifle Bob, but I didn't expect this vote to go any different than the original, so
Yeah.
I think this is just a waste of time and
Yeah.
that we should
Well, I think
vote
it's
to approve or not approve.
and I don't
move on.
I don't disagree with that, Andy. But I did want to at least give everyone the opportunity
Well,
to
this was a
express
petition warrant article, so really there is no opportunity to.
well, just to express why they would recommend or not recommend.
This board's never touched a petition warrant article before, so I'm not sure why we're doing it now, but
because it has to do with money.
I think because it's an appropriation.
in the past, we've never voted on a petition warrant article.
So
But-
at least what we found from NHMA was that where there's an appropriation.
that's
there's-
fine.
Okay,
I'm just saying past practices.
understood.
I'm still in A.
4.
Nay.
4, but I would like to ask another question after the voting, please.
Nay, so you can indicate that as 3-2 against,
2, 3,
or 3-2.
2, 3.
You get it. Okay.
So we received an email from a resident that had a question about this, and I wanted to ask you, Mr. Michaud, In your response to the resident, you said that you were aware that there would be a citizen's petition, and I was curious how you could possibly have known that when we were voting at that meeting if we hadn't voted yet.
Because I had a good feeling that it would.
But we hadn't voted yet, so how did you know that the warrant article wasn't going to pass?
Because I think ahead.
I had a feeling when we voted on that, if I was the chief, I would have probably reached out to a resident and asked them to push it through as a petition warrant article.
I mean, it seemed.
Why wouldn't I?
It seemed like a reasonable likelihood. In fact,
I was expecting
And,
it to
and
come
he
back.
told me just that. So
Before you voted? That's the part I'm trying to understand. I don't know how you could have known that before the meeting, before we voted, unless there were conversations
Letty, honestly,
outside of this body
Be-
about the topic beforehand.
because
anyone
I've
could have a
had
reasonable
conversations with
anticipation of that.
people, and they said if it doesn't pass, there will most likely be a warrant article brought forward. That simple.
Okay. Moving along. What's it
Jim
regarding?
Hauser, Mohawk Lane. Does the language specify that this is for April 1st only?
Yes.
I just want to make sure, because I didn't hear the full when you read it. That 225 is for 9 months, because a full year is $301,000. I just want to make sure that that's in the warrant so that people, when they vote on it at town meeting, know that it's not only is that it's recurring, but it's only 9 months, and it's really, like I said.
Yeah, does the warrant say that?
Because
April 1st.
last year, we had a warrant similar to this with the program coordinator, I believe, for the rec. And it, it was only for a portion of the year. And the language absolutely stated that for the following year, it showed the full amount. And I think it should say that in this case, because it's a significant difference. I mean, like I said, you're going from 9 months to 12. So
I mean, we didn't
you have
do
to
that
multiply by
last
4 over 3.
Yeah, but again, I think that's just asking, well, you could read it, Julie.
It does say effective April 1st, 2026. It doesn't go on to extrapolate that. for-
I don't know if that's the submitter had to do, but I know last year the warrant for the project coordinator did say that what the total cost would be for the full year. But, okay, we can just bring it up in discussion there then. Thank you.
I mean, my understanding though is that the way that's written, and again, I'd have to look at it again, but the way it's written, it's written for the, less than a year.
Yeah, absolutely. It does say April 1st. Thank you.
So that would be the cost for the time frame less than a year. Okay. All right. Moving on. Any old business?
I have some.
Okay.
We have a couple of people interested in the emergency management director position, so I wanted to set up people who will be interviewing so I can reach out to them and start that process.
I'm willing to interview.
What's that?
I'm willing to participate in interviewing if you want.
I think, Julie, I think you should be as well.
I can,
Yeah, we can coordinate.
And you can let me know as well. I'm happy to be part of that. Okay. Anything else?
We doing committees? Is that what you're doing? Or no, it's old business you're doing.
We're getting there. If there's no other old business, we'll go to committee updates.
Mine's kind of committee update and old business. I know last time we voted whether or not we would support I think it was an informal vote, because we had to send it to the rec commission first to vote whether we'd call it Parks and Recreation so that it can get more potential grants. And went to the commission last Wednesday, and they voted that they want to be changed to Parks and Recreation to take advantage of potential grants that they don't have access to now because it's recreation only. So if they go to Parks and Recreation, they're for that. So since they voted in favor for it, I told them I'd bring it back to the board tonight to make a motion that we call it Parks and Recreation officially.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll let Nick know. And Julie, believe us.
Anything else?
They have some stuff that they're working on. The confirmed that they're not going to be given any discounts on some of the rates that they have, that were already published rates. Some of the stuff they were getting was like, they're billing for $25 an hour for some of the things. And historically, the way it was done previously is some people were getting up to a 60% discounts, which was not, nobody, it was just kind of a wheel and deal type thing. Don't know why. So the new rec director, he's doing an assessment of what they should be charging for certain things. But he wanted to make sure that the board was consistent with what was the rate, the published rates. And the board, the rec commission voted to basically stay with what's published and not give somebody 10%, somebody 60%. Be consistent. The rates are extremely low, so he has to do a needs assessment and make recommendations, kind of like what we did with permits. So that should be forthcoming.
Are you talking about summer camps? Because I know
No.
in the
No,
This is for
renting fields and
outside organizations that use our fields, like if Seacoast United wanted to use a soccer field or whatever the football team is that uses the field, any outside organizations that are not a Brentwood Park and Recreation program
right.
would pay to rent the field. And before, there was a discount given if you like rented the field for so many days at a time. They
so
would
like
take-
the BJ,
like the football-
the baseball. I don't remember the baseball
Yep.
and softball league. If they rented it for the whole summer, they got a discount kind of thing.
Yes.
And some were getting like 60% off. And so he wants to just be consistent.
Yeah, there should be consistency for sure.
The other thing that I thought was kind of exciting is one of the, there's a Brazilian soccer camp thing that's wants to come and do after our camp. They want to do like an extension for another week where people can pay to have their kids put into that program. And it's, we get whatever their rate is that they're charging. It's a little more expensive than our camp, but it's an extension of a week, which gets people towards when school would go back in. They would actually be paying us 20% of whatever they're taking in. So to me, I was like,
In addition
that
to
sounds
the
like a
rental
good
fee?
deal.
Or
Yeah,
instead of the rental fee.
It's in addition to whatever the fee would be, but it would be still part of the camp program. But they pay us 20%, which is sizable, depending on how many they get, because they're paying us 20%, which, and hopefully it would be similar kids that are already in the camp would roll into that program, because it's going to piggyback right after we finish, they start. And they bring in people for it. The only thing I did bring up is background checks. I have to make sure they pass background checks. It's a company out of Maryland that does it, that reached out to, I guess they were reaching out for Andy, and then it was deferred until Nick came on board, so he's working on that.
I was expecting you to say from Brazil.
Well, it's a Brazilian, I think they bring people in, but the company is based out of Maryland, and then they find places that they can go around and do that. And I was like, yeah, if we can get that program here,
Yeah,
let's get them kids in here,
great.
especially if we get 20%.
Great. We had planning board last Thursday, another public hearing on the ordinances. So we're moving forward with the multifamily as well as the affordable housing as well. So there's one more hearing on Thursday, and conservation is tomorrow. So I think they've made progress to get everything on the ballot and ready to go.
Have we decided where elections are being held in March? Are they being held at the school, or are they being held at the rec center? And if they are being held at the school, have we secured the school?
I don't know
Good
where it'll
question.
be.
Yeah, good question. Any thoughts?
Where's it been done the last couple of years?
I thought they changed that it had to be done at the school. I thought there was something.
Been
voted
done
on
at the
that.
school to because we were having the presidential cycles and the national elections, and the rec center wouldn't hold that. But I don't know if,
This is gonna be big enough, we could probably do it, or small enough, right?
I can't see if Daphne's window's still open.
I mean, her window's probably closed, but she might still be in it.
She's gone.
She booked it.
So,
I mean, my thought would be the rec would be sufficient this time around.
Geez, I don't know.
I
I-
know that there were,
Yeah, I would vote to keep it at the school, just because
consistency.
consistency, and there is extra room if it does get busy.
which it could, because the plant, with the zoning things, it's more
Oh.
pages. So it might
And
take
we have to go to
longer.
2 machines. We'll have, hopefully the second machine will be in by
Oh,
then.
right, yeah, yep.
Well, why don't we defer to Daphne and have her in just to report on that for next
Sure.
week? I mean,
If it is gonna be at the school, we just, before next week, should confirm with the school that,
Whether they're open or not that day.
Well, they won't be open.
Right.
Yeah, but, my turn?
Sure.
Okay. The police department's very excited. They picked up their new cruiser last week, and it was just lettered and looks great, and still has the new car smell. Been working with Wayne and the guys at the highway department to fix truck number 6. It's been giving us some problems, and we finally have exhausted our the skills at the highway department, and we're now outsourcing the work. So hopefully that'll be up and running in short order. And that's all I have.
Any update on the winterization of the new building?
Nothing has been done so far as work being completed. I believe they're still gathering their supplies. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else before we go to public comment?
Yeah, so tomorrow night is the Cooperative School District deliberative session at the high school. Because the Cooperative School District is an SB2 voting situation, tomorrow night will be the chance to change the number if the people in the room would like to, and then whatever number they pick is the number that they will put on the ballot in March. On Thursday night, over at the rec center, is the town public hearing for the budget, both the Swayze budget and the town budget, and all the warrant articles will be discussed there. That's it.
On SB2, well, they always put down the default budget.
Mhm.
This only affects
The non-default.
the non-default, right? Okay. So the default's always gonna be whatever.
The
they
default
set.
is-
Okay,
By default.
okay.
Okay, we're through. I'll take public comment.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's non-negotiable. I thought.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I was waiting, looking at Julie to see if she had non-public.
Not this week. I think we will next week. I don't know.
Daphne's office.
No, I'm not quitting.